Hi guys, so today I'm going to do a book review video on 8 books that I've read in the month of August. And some of these books some of these books are like a series, and then the rest aren't like a series-ish, sort of. So let's just get right down to it. I'm going to start with the series first, that's going to take the longest to get through. And I don't know if I did the first 2 books in a book review or not, so if I did, bear with me, you guys. So, the first book, this is the V.C. Andrews Cutler series, and it has 5 books in it. The last one is a prequel. The first one is called Dawn, and this is what it looks like. Dawn is about a girl. Her mother dies. And what happens is she finds out that her father, that she always thought was her father, kidnapped her. And her real parents are these rich, snobby people who own like a hotel and a beach and a bank and all this other stuff. And she doesn't really fit in with those people at all. And finally, there's a grandmother, and the grandmother is really mean. And the grandmother kicks her out of the hotel and puts her into a musical school because she likes to sing and everything. So it's like an arts sort of school, I guess, like for dancers and singers and actors and stuff like that, performance school. This one had, I don't know how many chapters it had in it. It had an epilogue in it, and I think it had like 16 chapters in it, and it was really small. It was a good book. So the next book is her adventures at the school. And what happens to her, it's called Secrets of the Morning. What happens to her is that she goes to this school. She gets into semi-trouble when she gets pregnant by one of her teachers, who's an opera singer. I think his name's like Michael Sutton. And at first, like, she told him they were living like this happy little life outside of her going to school and everything, but they couldn't be like together because he was a teacher and she was a student, obviously. So she had to, she told him that she was pregnant, and then he was like, oh yeah, like this is so exciting, like after you're done with school and graduate, we can get married and raise the baby and everything. Well, here what happens is he leaves without telling her, and she finds out about it from her friend that she made at the school. So she tries to go find him, and she's like really hysteric and everything. And she sort of gets run over by a truck or a car. And then her real parents have to come and talk to her and everything because they just found out she was pregnant. And her grandmother decides to her grandmother makes her quit the school and go to where her grandmother's sisters live. And that's where she has the baby. And living with her grandmother's sisters was like the worst ever thing ever to her, because they made her clean. Even when she was like 9 months pregnant, they made her clean, even though she couldn't do a lot of stuff because of her bump, in the way you could say. So this is called Secrets of the Morning. It has 18 chapters in it. That's what it looks like. I liked these 2 books the best out of the series because it sets it up for what happens in the 3rd book. What happens is that what happens after that, she has her baby. In the second one, in the second book, she has her baby, but then her grandmother's sister gives it away to somebody else. And she goes back to the hotel looking for her grandmother, because her grandmother's the one that set it all up. And here her grandmother dies. So her grandfather has supposedly been dead for a while. So they read the will of her grandfather, and it turns out her grandfather is actually her father. So that's really weird. And as her grandfather/father, he gives her the hotel. She inherits the hotel that started up their whole Cutler brand sort of thing. So the 3rd book in the series was called Twilight Child, and this one was, I don't know, this one was sort of okay. It wasn't that great of a book. Like, nothing really exciting happens in it because it was the breaking point of the book. And this one, I think, had like, I think this book had 17 or 18 chapters in it too. I forgot, this book, these next two books I have don't have chapters in it. They only have chapter names and not the chapter, like, numerical chapters. So I think this one had like 17 or 19 chapters in it. One of them, I don't know. So here's what it is. It's called Twilight's Child. And basically what it is her taking over the hotel. And then her brother, Jimmy, who isn't her brother at all, he's the son to the guy who kidnapped Dawn. Well, they get married, and they want to have a baby together. So she gets pregnant, and then her evil, I don't know what you would call it now, like her evil half-sister, but not really her half-sister, I don't know. She comes in, and she's like a snob sort of person who's like jealous because Dawn got everything, because she was the daughter that went missing and everything. It was kidnapped and everything. Well, she comes back, and they get into a fight, and then her half-sister kicks her in the stomach and everything, so she loses the baby. And then she gets in, that was just a bug on the camera. She loses the baby, and then she gets into like a depressive state. But at the end of the series, she does get pregnant again, and that's where it stops at. Yeah, that's where it stops at. So it really wasn't that exciting. Nothing like shocking happened in this book at all. So the next book in the series is called Midnight Whispers. It's the 4th book and the last book about Dawn in the series. And this one, I think, had like 17 chapters in it, I think. I'm not really sure. This one also just had names in it. It didn't have chapters in it. And this is just weird because, like, the Flowers in the Attic series that I've read were like that too, where, like, they didn't have any chapters, numerical chapters. They were just, like, chapter names. And I don't understand how, like, the first 2 books in this series have numerical chapters and then, like, the chapter name. But then these 2 books, the 3rd and the 4th one, only have chapter names in it. But then the 5th one has chapter names, I think it has chapter names, and numerical chapters in it. I don't get that. Like, if you don't know the chapters, it's like, whatever. I don't get it. It's like, make up your mind, lady. Like, do you want the books to have chapters in it, or numerical chapters in it, or do you want them to just have chapter names in it? I don't know. Or maybe it was just like the time they were written. I don't know. So this one had a lot in it. Christy is the child she had with Christy. Dawn's daughter is the daughter to the Michael Sutton guy that she got pregnant to in the 2nd book. And then she has a brother that's to Jimmy, the guy that she's actually married to, Dawn. I don't remember what his name is. I don't remember what her brother's name was, because he was only in this book. But what happens is she turns 8, I think it's 18, and everything's going great, and then there's a fire at the hotel, and then her parents die. So then she goes to live her brother and her cousin Gavin, I think they're cousins. They go and live with the grandmother's sisters that are still alive, and the only one that's left is Charlotte, and Charlotte is actually the original grandmother's daughter. It happens in the next book. What happens is she goes to live with her aunt Charlotte, her great aunt Charlotte, with her cousin, stepbrother, whatever, Gavin, and her little brother. I forget what her little brother's name is. So what ends up happening is she leaves because I forget what her aunt's name was. I'm sorry, guys, I can't remember. But her aunt takes over everything, and her aunt is, like, controlling and gets into arguments, and they have two twin cousins that live with them, too. Those are her aunt and uncle's kids. And they play jokes and lie about it to their moms, that their mom thinks that they're angels and perfect and everything, and that their cousins are the devils and whatever else. So that's what happens, and they finally, I don't know exactly what happens at the end. They finally live happily ever after, let's just say that. But this whole series, except for, like, the last 2 books, like, the first 2 books were good. The last 2 books were, like, iffy. But then this last one, oh my god, guys, like, I read this book. And it was really sad in it. Like, I was almost, like, crying in this book. It has 16 chapters in it. And it's called The Darkest Hour. It's the prequel to the whole Cutler series. And it's about the grandmother. The grandmother's name was Lillian. And Lillian had a sister named Emily. And what happens is the first couple chapters take place when they're, like, little kids. And what happens is Emily spills a secret about Lillian. And that's, she's not even related to them. Like, they're not brother and sister. And her parents aren't her parents. Turns out her real mother was Lillian's mother's sister was Lillian's mother, and she died in childbirth, so Lillian's aunt, which is her mother now, it's all confusing, you guys, is her mother and everything. So her mother dies in, her mother dies in it, but her mother is dying in it later on. Her mother starts to get, like, I don't know what you would say, like, a little bit crazy or something after her other sister, Eugenia, she had, like, multiple sclerosis or something, where she couldn't, like, live a normal life. She had to be cooped up in the room. She couldn't go to school. She couldn't do anything fun or anything. Well, her little sister dies, and her mother gets really, like, distraught and depressed and crazy. So what happens is her father starts running the roost, and her father's like a biblical religious person, so he likes to shout out Bible stuff and everything. And her sister's the same way, Emily. So what happens is she's been doing some bad things, and she got grounded, and then this guy that she loved so much came to see her one night when she wasn't supposed to go out to a party she was supposed to go to, but her father didn't want her to. And he fell down he climbed up to her room. Hold on, you guys. He climbed up to her room, and then after that, he fell down while he was trying to climb down from her room and died. So her father says she's the cause of this. She's a curse to this family, a jinx, whatever. So she has to go through penance to be a better person, like, I guess in the Bible and stuff. So what ends up happening is her father, something happens to her father where he breaks his legs or something, and she has to take care of him and do all the other chores in the house too. And they sort of have sex together, her and her fake dad, who's really like her uncle. So she gets pregnant with her father/uncle's baby, and then she tells him, and then of course they don't believe it. So she gives birth to her. It's like a cover-up story where the dad's telling everybody that their mother's actually pregnant because she doesn't go out as much anymore or anything. So what ends up happening is she has this baby, and then this baby becomes like her sister, and then the mansion that they're living in after she gives birth to her daughter, but now it's her sister now because that's how they covered it up, is her farm/mansion, whatever, house gets to the point where it's broke. So actually what happens is her father has a card game with some people, and he bets all of his money and the house and his daughter Lillian, to this Cutler guy, and he loses everything. So then the Cutler guy gets the house, gets the farm, gets his daughter, so they marry even though she doesn't love him. or anything like that. So that's basically how it ends. That's like the start of the whole series. And I really like the book. Like, that book made me cry in certain places. It was, like, really dramatic of a book. It was really good, though. So the last 3 books I have, I'll do a really short and quick review on them. You guys know, if you've seen some of my book reviews, I have had Margaret Truman books. And Margaret Truman, I think, is like the daughter or the granddaughter of Harry Truman, the president. And she wrote some, like, mystery books. And my mom got them for me, like, at a Dollar General store or something. Because they were only $1. So I had, like, 5 or 6 of these books, and most of them were bad. You guys, and I only had 2 left, so I decided when I was done reading the V.C. Andrews series, I was going to read these last 2 books, so I would have them out of my bookshelf to read. So this one is called Murder at the Library of Congress, a capital crimes novel. And this is what it looks like. It's about a murder at the Library of Congress, and shockingly, out of all the books that I've read by Margaret Truman, this one was the best that I've had. This one was actually really exciting. It was about, the murder was about this guy who was researching stuff on Columbus's, diaries that were about his diaries, and then I think it was, like, his, like, first mate and his friend. I forget what his friend's name is. Christopher Columbus's best friend / like, first mate wrote diaries, too, about, like, Columbus's, a diaries and map to where Columbus hid treasures, like gold and stuff, and they were trying to prove that these were real or they were fake. So what happened is a scholar that was doing this died, got murdered, and everything. So it's this girl, Annabelle Smith. She comes to the Library of Congress, that's where the murder takes place, Library of Congress, to research articles about these diaries, see if they're true or not, for her, like, magazine. And that's when the murder happens, and she tries to figure out who murdered them and everything. So with this book, there really wasn't that much, like, FBI or CIA lingo in it. It was basically just, like, a story. It didn't have that much, like, important or, like, abbreviations of words. So that one was really good. It had 39 chapters in it, and some were, like, shorter, some were longer. So the second to last book I have is another Margaret Truman book, and this is The Murder at the Watergate, a capital crimes novel. And this book, I didn't even, like, finish it. Like, I was on chapter 33, and it only had 40 chapters in it, but this book was so dry and boring. Like, this is what it looks like. Like, even the cover isn't exciting. Like, this cover was exciting. This cover, not that exciting. Well, anyway, it was about, a guy was murdered. 2 people were murdered at the Watergate Hotel. And that's where, like, you know, the stuff happened with Nixon and everything, if you know your history and everything like that. And these books aren't, like, real things that happened at these places. They're all fictional. So her books are all, like, fictional, so you guys know. So I don't really know. It was about these Mexican people. They came to the United States, and I don't know what they were doing. I forget what they were trying to do. But what happened is they're the ones that were killing the people in the Watergate Hotel. And what happens is in these books, it's sort of weird because they tell you the murderers in these books, but the people who are trying to figure it out don't know it. So it's like on and off, a couple chapters about the murderers and then the people trying to figure it out. And the reason why I didn't like it is because it was really dry. There wasn't really, like, anything exciting in it. And plus there was lots of, like, FBI lingo in it and, like, all these different abbreviations for Mexican associations in this book. And it was just really boring, you guys. It wasn't even worth the time reading it. And I was on chapter 33 and I said, I have, like, however many chapters left until I get to the last chapter. And I just don't feel like reading this book. There was, like, so much stuff going on, and it was, like, so hard to put who was the bad guys, who was the good guys, who was the regular, normal people, all that stuff. So instead, I don't even know how to say his last name. But it's a book about, I'll show you guys. It's like gold and shiny, and it's a hardback book. And there's only 174 pages in this book. 174 pages. And what happens is you know when like holidays roll around and you get stressed? Well, these are sort of like little like tidbits, you could say, of little stories to help you get through the holidays. So it starts out with Christmas, and then it goes to Hanukkah and Kwanzaa. And those, in the first two parts is like a couple not 100 pages, but like maybe like 40 pages for those three holidays. And it just tells you at the bottom what holiday it is. Like it just says Christmas, or Hanukkah, or Kwanzaa, or St. Patrick's Day, or something like that. And it's just a little book, and it's like little tidbits of stories to get you through the holiday, like whatever, like office parties and holiday parties and Christmas and Christmas lights and snow and everything like that. And then it goes into the other holidays. It starts with New Year's, and then it goes to Valentine's Day, St. Patrick's Day, Easter, 4th of July, Halloween, Thanksgiving, and then like summer. It has summer like holidays, and that's just vacations. And it was really good. I liked it. And it was a small book. Like, I finished this book in like 2 hours after I put down this book. Put down the Watergate book. So, yes, that was my book reviews for the month of August. So, you guys, I hope you comment below and tell me your favorite books, or subscribe to my channel. I do book hauls, book reviews, anything like that. So I'll see you guys next time with another video.